Hi players, bonjour from Geneva. My name is Asaf and welcome to my channel Easy Board Games. Today we're going to have a 2.5 round playthrough of SETI that was published by CGE. As always, if you learned something new or saw something that you like, consider subscribing to the channel, liking or commenting on the video. Those are all free things that you can do that are going to help me a lot. Ready to see how it goes? Let the easy playthrough begin. Alright guys, so with your permission I'm going to dive directly into this playthrough. We have a lot to cover over in this game, so let's start already with the orange player's turn, and this playthrough is going to be only for 2 players. So the first main action out of the 7 possible, not including the passing action, that the orange player is going to take is to launch a probe. For that they're going to discard both of these tokens that correspond to money, and they're going to take one of their probes and they're going to place it right over here where we have planet Earth. Now, in general, if we're already focusing on the orange player, what you need to know is that out of the 5 cards they have received during setup, they have decided to keep this card that they immediately place behind this one. That means that they're going to start with 1 energy more. So already I see that I forgot to give it to them, but this is how they're supposed to start this game. Now, on top of that, they can do a bunch of free actions. You can do it before you're taking your main action, even during or after, really whenever you want, until that player is saying that they're done with their turn. They can take extra free actions. So as always guys, you know that in my playthroughs, we're not going to have any kind of strategy advice. I'm just here to show you the flow of the game. So you might see me do or take some silly, weird decisions. Don't worry. Again, if you understood the game, that's the whole point of this video. So one of the free actions that we can do is actually discard one of the cards that we have in our hand in order to do whatever there is according to the iconography at the top left corner of that card. So for example, we're going to discard these 2 cards, and we can see that in the top left corner of the card we have this symbol that means that basically we can move our probe 1 step. So what does it mean 1 step? Basically you can see that in each sector we have different locations. Every time that you have one of these locations, let's call it like that, it can be a small one or a bigger one, it doesn't really matter. It is separated either by one of the turning panels or by the board, like with the white signs, as you can see. That will be considered a location. So when we're going to discard both of these cards, we will be able to move it 2 times. So with that, we're going to move 1 step over here, and pay attention that at this location on this comment, we'll be able to receive something that is called publicity. So that means that on the publicity track right over here, again, both players are going to start with 4 publicity. We're going to gain 1 more. So we're simply going to move our marker 1 step up. That was one of the movements. And the second movement, again, it's free actions. We can do as many as we want. We're going to move right over here to Mars, and that will allow us to receive 1 more publicity. So we're going to move up to 6. The orange player decides that they have finished with their turn, and we're going to move on to the green player. Now, the green player during setup decided that they would like to take this card out of the 5 again that they have received initially and place it behind this card, to tuck it behind it. And that means that they drew as a bonus 1 card, a random card of course, from the deck. So this is why you can see that the green player has 5 cards right now. Now the green player would like to show you a different main action. So what they're going to do is something that is called scan. When you're scanning, first of all, you need to pay the price, that is 1 credit, let's call it like that, and also 2 energy. And then first of all, you'll be able to scan the sector where planet Earth is. So let me take you back to the main board, and we can see that each planet corresponds to a different sector. In our case, planet Earth right now corresponds to this sector right over here. That will be the sector that they will be able to scan. Now in general, again, if we're talking about Saturn, it's just an example that is situated over here, then it corresponds to this sector. And obviously, the more we're going to move the solar system, right, it's going to rotate, the planets are going to be in different sectors. But don't worry, we're going to see it a little bit later. Now, when you're scanning, what you need to do is to take one of your markers, and we're going to replace it with one of the data tokens that we have in that specific sector. Again, that is Earth. So we're going to place it right over here. The data token we're going to place in our data pool. And then the second iconography says basically that we need to discard one of the cards that we have right over here in the row, right? We have at the beginning of the game 3 cards that we're going to draw from the main deck. And now we're going to take a look at the iconography that we have at the top right corner of the card. So now we're basically looking for a color. Now we have 4 types of sectors over here: blue, red, yellow, and black. So you can discard one of these cards in order to scan any sector that you would like in that specific color. So again, just for the example, let's say that the green player has decided to discard this card right over here. Now what we will do is first of all replenish the row, so we're going to draw one more card, and then we can choose one of the 2 sectors that is in the blue color. That means this one or this sector, and also again perform this scanning. So let's say that the green player has decided to scan this sector. Again, they're going to take one marker in their color, and they're going to replace the data token that is in the leftmost position. So we're going to place it over here. The data marker will go again to our pool, and with that we have finished the main action. But of course the green player would like to do some free actions. So one of the free actions that we can do is basically take the data tokens and start placing them in our computer, in our processor. So the first one is going to go right over here, and then the second one will go on this location. And that means, as you already guessed it, that we're going to receive one publicity. So the green marker is going to climb from 4 to 5. That was the first free action that they would like to do. And you know what? Just for the fun of it, let's say also that they would like to discard this card right over here, again for the bonus that we can see at the top left corner of the card, in order to have one more publicity. With that, the green player has decided that they're going to finish their turn, and we're going to move back to the orange player. Now what the orange player would like to do, since they are situated in a location with a planet, they will be able to either land, and then their probe becomes a lander, or they can become part of its orbit, and the price, of course, is different. It's 2 different main actions, but I think that the orange player would like actually to first of all go into orbit. So for that, they will need to pay 1 credit and 1 energy. So we're going to discard these 2 tokens, and then we can take our probe and we're going to remove it from the solar system, and we're going to place it. As you can see, we have the planets that correspond, right? Mars, and we're going to place it in the orbit location. So before we continue, I just want to tell you that as a default, we have only 1 probe that can be in space. When I say in space, it means only right over here in the solar system. The moment that the probe left this part of the board, the solar system, and they're going to go to this part of the board, they're not considered to be anymore in space. So the orange player would be able now to launch more probes. Later, with different technologies, we'll be able to have even 2 probes, or with different cards, but we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So now the orange player is going to be the first player that is going to enter to the orbit. Now in general, any player, and we have no limit at all at how many landers we can have on a planet, or how many probes we can have in the orbit. All of them are going to receive the corresponding reward. In our case, since we're in the orbit, we're going to receive these 3 bonuses. And on top of that, because we're the first player, we're going to receive also 3 victory points. So let's place our probe right over here. 3 victory points mean that we're going to go from 1 to 4. And now let's start taking the bonuses. The first bonus, as you can see, is to take a card. Since we don't have the question mark, we can choose between a random card or any card that we have over here on the row. So I think what they would like to do is actually to take this card. Soon you're going to understand why. So we're going to place it in our hands. Then the next bonus is to make a scan, but in the same sector as Mars. So again, we're looking where Mars is. Remember, it's right over here. And that means that it corresponds to this sector. So we're going to scan from this location. We're going to take one of our markers and we're going to replace it with one data marker, again, that is in the leftmost space. So we're going to place it right over here. And the data token is going to come to our data pool. Now, the last thing that we can do with this iconography is to basically increase our income. And that means that we can choose any one card that we have in our hands, tuck it behind all the other cards that are already here, and then immediately receive the bonus that is situated at the bottom right corner of the card. So since the orange player would like to have some money, they need to decide between this card and this card which one they would like to actually tuck behind the other cards that we have. I think they're going to go for this one. So what we're going to do is simply take this card, place it in a way that is visible for later. And of course, we need to remember to take the bonus, so 1 credit is going to come right over here. After resolving this main action, there are no other free actions that they would like to take, so we're going to move back to the green player. The next action that the green player would like to show you is actually to research a technology. So for that we have two possibilities. Either we're going to pay 6 publicity, right? This is another resource that we have, or we're going to do it with one of the effects that we can see on different cards. So what they would like to do is actually pay this 6 publicity. Let's take the green marker all the way down to 0. Obviously, if you don't have 6 or more publicity, you will not be able to take this action. And then we're going to do two things. The first thing that we're going to do is to rotate the solar system. Now, this is a huge part of this game, so it's very important to pay attention that we're not having a mistake over here. Right now, what we need to do is to take this marker and move it counterclockwise to the next location, and after that we see which color we have just passed. That specific color is the disc that we will need to rotate again counterclockwise. We can see it with the small arrows. So the first one is the yellow one, that is the topmost disc, then we have the orange in the middle, and the last one is blue. So what we're going to do is to turn it again counterclockwise 1 time. That means that we're simply going to move it just like this, basically to change the sector. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is to choose one of the 3 type of technologies in order to place on our player board. So this is where you kind of do your own thing with your own strategy. I think that the blue player is going to try and do something with the data analyzing technology. So now basically we can already see, because in each location the token is going to be exactly the same, but the back of each token is going to show us which bonus we're going to receive immediately. On top of that, as you already guessed it, of course, the first player that is researching a specific type of technology is going to receive on top of that 2 victory points. So right now, since the green player is a little bit short of energy, let's research this token right over here. So we're going to receive, as you can see, 5 victory points, right? 2 plus 3. So from 2, we're going to have 7 victory points. This token we can simply discard from the game. It's not going to come back to us. And then we're going to turn it to the other side, and we're going to place it basically in any free space that we would like. It doesn't actually have to be free. We can even place it right over here, but we're not going to take the bonus that is written on it. So let me give you an example. If I would have decided to place it over here, that means that this token is going on this location. Now, in general, if I would have done it on a different turn, I would receive that bonus. But since I already placed it where there was already a data token, a bonus is not going to come to us. So I'm going to do something a little bit different, of course. Let's place it back over here, and we're going to take this token and place it in the next free location. With that, the green player has finished their turn, and we're going to go back to the orange player. The next action that the orange player would like to show you is to play a card from our hand. So for that, of course, we have here really an excessive amount of cards. We're not going to see all of them, but let's talk at least about the cards that we're going to have in this playthrough. So what we're going to do is to pay the cost that we can see in the middle left part of the card. Again, different cards are going to have different costs. So right now, the orange player is going to pay 1 credit. Let's put it back in the supply. And we're going to bring this card into effect. So they're going to place this card just in front of them. I think that in order to make things a little bit clearer, let's place the cards that are in play actually above our player board. I hope that's going to be more clear. And let's talk about what we can see on the card itself, since now we need to resolve basically what we have on it. Now, this card is basically from the type of triggerable missions, and that means that we have some conditions on the card that when we're going to meet those conditions, we're going to receive some type of bonus. So on this card, it says that when you pay the indicated cost to play a card as your main action, then you're going to receive a certain bonus. If it's 1 credit, we're going to have 2 victory points, 2 credits, 1 card from the row or from the deck. And if we're going to pay 3 credits, we're going to have 2 publicity. Every time that we're going to accomplish one of those, we're going to take one of our markers and we're simply going to cover it. That means that, of course, we cannot accomplish it again. And after we have finished that, we're simply going to take this card and we're going to keep it actually next to us. We're not going to discard it. It's going to stay with us until the end of the game. Now, no free actions are going to be taken, so we're going to go back to the green player. The green player is going to pay 2 credits, the last 2 credits that they have, in order to launch a probe. So what we're going to do is again take one of their probes and we're going to place it on planet Earth. With that, they would like to raise a little bit their publicity, so they're going to discard this card right over here in order to raise their publicity by 1. With that, they have finished their turn, going back to the orange player. And the orange player, since they have only energy and there is nothing they can do right now with only 2 energy, they will decide to pass. So the first player that is passing is going to also rotate the solar system. This is why we have this token right over here. We're going to remove it from this deck. And since we have 2 players over here, in each one of these decks we'll have 3 cards. It's always going to be the number of players plus 1. So now that we're going to rotate the galaxy, we're going to move this token to the next position, and as you guessed it, now it's going to be the orange disc that is going to turn. Obviously, when we're going to move the orange disc, the yellow disc is going to turn with it as well. So let's take it and move it to the next sector. And now the orange player will be able to take a look at these 3 cards, choose one of them to keep in their hand, and then the rest of the cards to place back in their location. With that, we have finished the turn of the orange player, and now when we're moving back to the green player, basically now the green player or any other players for that matter can continue taking actions, even main actions doesn't matter, because the moment that a player is passing their turn, they will not be able to continue taking actions in that round. Luckily for them, the green player is going to decide to pass as well. Since they are not the first player that is passing, they will not rotate, of course, the solar system. So the only thing they're going to do is to take again the cards that are left in that deck, and they're going to choose one to keep in their hand. The last card that we have over here, we can simply discard because it will not be important for this game. With that, we can take again this token and place it on the deck. And now we have finished the round and we're going to start a new one. Not before, of course, we're going to take the resources that we have over here. So for the orange player, it's going to be 3 credits, 2 energy, I'm just going card by card, then 1 random card from the stack, then again 1 energy, and again 1 credit. With your permission, I'm going to do the same thing, but of course with the resources of the green player off camera. Now, an important thing that I haven't talked about, but basically when you're passing, you need to discard down to 4 cards in your hand. It's super important because soon we're going to see that the green player has actually 6 cards in their hand, but that was after the income phase, so basically they don't need to discard anything, they just have more options. After we have taken income, we're going to move the starting player token to the other player, so the orange player is going to give it to the green player, and with that we can basically start another round. So now we're going to continue the playthrough. I think that the only 2 main actions that we haven't seen is basically land and analyze data. So I'm going to try and do it in this round and see how does it go. So the first action that the green player would like to do is to play a card. They would like to play this card right over here. So they're going to pay 1 credit for it, and that will allow them to do 2 things. First of all, it will allow them to move their probe. So they're going to move their probe right over here. That was 1 movement. And on top of that, they can scan in any blue sector. So I think what they're going to do is to take 1 marker and they're going to scan this sector again. So I remind you again, we don't care right now about planet Earth or something like that. We're simply going for a sector in that color. In our case, it could have been this one, but we're going to take this one. Soon you'll understand why. So let's take this data token. We're going to place our marker. And since this is the the second marker that is being placed over there, they're going to take 2 victory points. So from 7, they're going to have 9. The data token we can place in our data pool. So now they have finished their main action, but they would like to do 2 other things. First of all, of course, this card we're going to discard. We just used it. And now they're going to discard the card that we have over here. So we're going to take the bonus at the top left corner of the card. That is 1 movement. So their probe is going to move to this location. And after that, again, this is a free action. They can use 1 energy in order to perform 1 movement. So they're going to move directly into Mars. That will gain for them, as we remember, 1 publicity. So no problem with that. And another free action they would like to do is to place a data token in their computer. So they're going to place it over here. And now we can see that we're going to have for that 2 victory points. So from 9, we're going to go up to 11. The orange player would like to play another card. So they're going to choose to play this one right over here. First of all, let's pay, of course, the 2 credits. And now, if you remember, we played a card before that we have right over here. And since we have triggered the middle part, basically now we can cover it. We played a card with the cost of 2 credits. So we are going to take 1 card into our hand from anywhere we want, either the row or actually from the deck. So let's cover it. And the card that we're going to take is probably going to be, I think we're going to take this one. So let's replenish immediately another card to the row. This card we can again place in our hand. And the card that we have decided to play basically say that we're going to perform this action, that is to launch a probe. So let's take one of our probes and place it, as you remember, on planet Earth. And on top of that, we can see that we have over here a mission. So if we're going to either go into the orbit or land on Neptune or one of its moons, we're going to receive 4 victory points and also 1 data token. So let's place this card over here, again to remind us that we have played that. And on top of that, what they would like to do is to spend 1 energy in order to move. So again, we remember that this is a free action. We're going to move to this comet, which will gain them 1 publicity. With that, we have finished the turn of the orange player, and we're going to go back to the green player. The green player would like to play this card right over here, which is quite strong now that I see it. It's going to cost to them 1 credit, and with that, they will be able to actually perform landing. Now, usually landing is going to cost 3 energy, unless there is a probe in that planet orbit. Doesn't matter to which player it belongs, but this one is going to allow us to actually for 1 credit to perform landing. And on top of that, we can see that if you land on Mars, Mercury, or any moon with this action, you're going to receive 4 victory points. So guess where we are, guys? Right over here. And that means that we'll be able to land on Mars. So first of all, let's just take the 4 victory points before we forget. From 11, we're going to have 15. Now we're going to remove our probe from the solar system and we're going to place it right over here. So the first thing that is going to happen, of course, we can see that the first player that is landing on Mars is going to receive 2 data tokens. So 2 data tokens we're going to take from the supply and we're going to place it in our pool. And after that, we're going to receive the 2 bonuses that we can see in the middle of Mars. So the first one is 6 victory points, and the other one is a marking life trace in the color of yellow. So let's take the 6 victory points that we can see here. From 15, we're going to have 21. And now we can see that we have passed this symbol that is basically a discovered species. Now we have a few markings like this on the victory point track. Some of them are called milestones. Those are these golden locations, and we have 2 of these locations that again are called discovered species. Now both milestones and discovered species you're going to resolve only after you have completely finished your turn. That means that you have taken your main action and also as many free actions as you wanted. So that means that once we're going to resolve the achievements or the discovered species, you will not be able to take any more free actions. Now the second bonus that we have over here is something that is called a marking life trace. We have 3 colors of that, right? Pink, yellow, and blue. And when we gain 1 of them, we'll be able to place it in one of these locations over here. I mean, later when we're going to turn these boards, we're going to see that we have more spaces to place them. But in any case, we're going to place them at the beginning immediately below the aliens' boards. Now each location can contain only one marker, so if later we're going to have more players that are going to place their markers in the same location, we have an overflow kind of space just below it. So we're probably not going to see it in this playthrough, especially because it's only 2 players, but what you need to see right now is that the green player is going to take their marker and they're going to place it over here. Of course, on this location, I just want you to see the bonuses. So first of all, we're going to have 5 victory points. From 21, we're going to move on to 26. Pay attention that now we have passed a milestone. And on top of that, they're going to take 1 publicity. So from 2, we're going to go up to 3. Now we can cover this location. And now that we have resolved the main action, I remind you, it all started from playing 1 card. The green player would like actually to do a free action, and that is to place the data tokens in the computer. So the first thing, they're going to place it right over here. That is going to gain for them 1 energy. And then they're going to take their second marker and they're going to place it over here, covering this icon, which basically means that now they can take any card they want from their hand, tack it underneath the other cards, and that is something that not only going to give them an immediate bonus, but also is going to come back to them as an income for the next round. So they would like to have a little bit more, I don't know, let's go for money. We're going to take this card, place it underneath. Then they're going to take immediately 1 credit token. So let's place it over here. Now that they have completely finished their turn, let's see how we're going to resolve the milestones and also the discovered species. So basically the alien species is going to be discovered when all 3 locations are going to be covered by a marker. Now why am I saying a marker and not a player marker? So when we're not playing with 4 players, we have these kind of markers that don't belong to any other player. Those are neutral. And according to the number of players that we have, we're going to have different amount of these tokens. Since we're playing 2 players, or even for the solo mode, we'll have 2 of these markers. Now that we need to resolve this thing, we're going to take both of these markers and we're going to start placing them from left to right in every free location that we have. So the first location is obviously going to be this one. Then the second location is going to be this one. Now, an alien species is going to be discovered when all of these 3 locations below it have been filled by markers. It's not important if it's a player marker or a neutral marker, and since we have all 3 locations that are now filled, we're going to take this board, flip it to the other side, and that is the first time that we're actually going to see which is the first species of aliens that we're going to deal with in this game. Now obviously we have 5 species of aliens in SETI. We're not going to go over all of them, but what you need to know when something like this happens, you will need to look for the setup sheet that correspond to that specific race. The title here is called Anomalies, and we're going to have a small setup. First of all, for each race we have a deck of cards that we'll need to take all the cards, give them a good shuffle, we'll place them right next to their board, and also we're going to open 1 card face up. And on top of that, for this specific race, we can see that we have these 3 anomalies that we're going to place according to what they're saying on the setup. So one of them is going to appear in the sector of Earth. So we're going to randomly put it on one of the sides. Then we're going to count 3 sectors from it counterclockwise. So 1, 2, and 3. This is where we're going to have the second anomaly. And then we're going to count 3 sectors clockwise from Earth. So 1, 2, and 3. And we'll place the last anomaly in this sector. In general, what we need to know that every time Earth, not now, but next time, they're going to enter into a sector with one of these anomalies, the player that is highest on the track of that specific color, so next time Earth is going to enter into the yellow anomaly, so the player that is highest on this track is going to receive the bonus of that anomaly. Pay attention that it does not include the markers that we have below the alien board, so this one does not count. Alright, so that was a little bit of a mouthful turn for the green player. We're going to move on now to the orange player. The orange player would like to research a technology. So from 7, they're going to go down to 1. Then, as you remember, we're going to rotate the solar system. So now we're going to rotate the blue disk. So all of this big disk is going to move just like this. And you might have paid attention to something a little bit interesting. Let's take it back one moment. We remember that we had this situation, right? The probe moved from planet Earth to the comet in order to take one of this publicity. And now that we moved the blue disk, we actually moved the probe of the orange player with it. That is kind of a cool way that with a good planning, you'll be able to prepare your flight with the probe a little bit better. And then they're going to choose one of the technologies they would like to research. So I'm going to show you a technology that really surprised me the first time that I played. It is super powerful in my opinion. So we're going to take this technology right over here. First of all, we're going to receive for it 2 victory points, so the orange player is really far behind. From 4, they're going to go up to 6. We can discard the 2 victory point token. Then we're going to take 1 publicity as the bonus that we can see at the back of this technology. So this technology that I'm placing right over here basically means that right now the orange player can land also on the moons of the different planets. If you don't have that technology, you cannot land on moons. And why is it so important to land on a moon? Because it gives you a lot of victory points and a lot of cool bonuses. So this is something to keep in mind. The next thing that the orange player would like to do is to take a free action. So they would like to discard this card over here in order to take 1 data token. Let's take it and place it in our pool. And also another free action, they're going to place the 2 data tokens in their computer. So let's place 1 over here and 1 over here. And of course, for this one, we're going to take the bonus of 1 publicity. So from 2, we're going to move our marker to 3. With that, we have finished this turn and we're going to move back to the green player. The green player, maybe shockingly enough, is going to do a scan. So they're going to pay for this scan 1 credit and 2 energy. Then, according to whatever we remember on this track, they will be able to first of all scan the sector in front of planet Earth. That means this one right over here. So they're going to take one of their markers and replace it with the leftmost data marker in that sector. Let's place it in our pool. And then moving on, we can discard one of the cards in the rows in order to take another one. So they're going to discard the card that we have right over here. That is going to allow them to scan a sector with red color. So they're going to scan this one again. Let's take one of their markers, replace it 1 more time, and that was of course going to give them 2 victory points. So from 26 we're going to go to 28. And now as a free action, what they would like to do is to place these 2 data tokens in their computer in order to completely fill their entire row. With that, they have finished their turn and we're going to move again back to the orange. The orange player is going to first of all discard the card that they have right over here in order to advance with their probe 1 step. So they're going to move from here to here. And in general, unless you have a specific technology from the orange technology, when you want to move out from a location that has these asteroids, you will need to actually spend 2 movements. So let me demonstrate it. As another free action, they're going to take this 2 energy and they're going to convert them into movement. So now they will be able to move into Neptune. And of course, that is going to gain for them 1 more publicity. As the main action, what they would like to do is to scan. So 1 credit and also 2 energy they're going to spend. And then we're going to scan, of course, this sector first. So they're going to take the orange marker and they're going to replace it with a leftmost data token. Then they can discard a card. So they're going to discard the new card that we have just replaced. Let's draw a new card into the row. And that will allow them, as we've seen, to scan a sector in the red color. So they're going to scan the same system again. Let's take this marker and replace it. The 2 data tokens they will be able to place over here. Then again, as a free action, they're going to place these 2 markers on their player board, which means they can take 1 card from their hand and tuck it underneath the other cards. So obviously they have only 1 card in their hand. Let's take it, place it right over here. And the bonus actually means that we'll be able to take 1 card from the deck. So 1 card is going to be added into their hand. And with that, they have finished their turn and we're going to move back to the green player that will actually decide to pass. So again, the first thing that we need to do is to discard to 4 cards. The green player, trust me on this one, has only 2 cards in their hand. The next thing that we're going to do is to rotate the solar system. So let's remove this marker, advance this one, and move only the yellow disc, of course. After that, we're going to choose 1 card from the second round deck. And that is it for the green player. The orange player is going to do the same thing. To pass, they have, as you can see, only 1 card in their hand. They're not going to rotate the solar system since they are not the first players to pass this turn. Then they're going to choose also 1 card from the same deck. Now that we need to start a new round, and I think it's going to be the last one for this playthrough, let's place this token over here. Then we're going to give income to each player. And of course, the first player marker is going to go back to the orange player. And before we're moving on, there is something very important that I forgot actually when we discovered the alien species. One of the things in the setup is that when this species is discovered, shuffle its deck and deal cards to the players who marked the 3 discovery spaces. Each player gets 1 card per marker. So this is something that I a little bit messed up not doing. I absolutely apologize for that. So actually, before we reveal this card, we needed to give a card to the green player. So I think it's only going to be fair if the card that we have drawn over here will be given to the green player. Don't worry, it didn't change anything really with the game, but it's really important that you pay attention to everything that is written, and this is going to be the card that will stay face up. Okay, so moving on to the next turn of the orange player, what they would like to show you is how we're landing actually on a moon. So we can see that we're situated on Neptune, and when we're landing as an action, we need to pay 3 energy unless we have one of the technologies of the orange color. That will reduce the cost by 1, but also, as I've said before, if in Neptune we would have had a probe in the orbit and it doesn't matter to which player it belongs, then the cost is actually reduced by 1 as well. So if there is 1 probe in the orbit, the cost is going to be reduced to 2. And if also we have the technology, that can be actually reduced to 1 energy. Right now they have neither, unfortunately, so they're going to spend 3 energy, which is quite a lot, so nothing to do. That's the price we need to pay for this playthrough. And of course they're going to land, but since they have the technology of landing on a moon, what they're going to do is to remove their probe and place it actually on the moon of Neptune. Now I want to show you something before we're taking the insane 26 victory points bonus. We can see that on this card we had a mission that if we're going to either have an orbit or a lander on Neptune or one of its moons, we're going to on top of that receive 4 victory points and 1 data token. So let's start with the easy thing and take 1 data token to put in our data pool, and then we have 4 victory points from here and the staggering 26 victory points from the moon of Neptune. That means that 30 victory points is going to be added to the orange player. So that means that from measly 6 victory points, we have now 36 victory points for the orange player. And of course, pay attention that we passed a second threshold. Now it basically means that we have completed this mission. So we're going to, again, not discard it, we're going to keep it face down next to our board. Okay, it's important for later on in this game, even though we're not going to see it in this playthrough. And there are no more free actions that the orange player would like to take. They're a little bit still stunned from the 30 victory points. So now we're going to resolve again this threshold of the species discovered. Now again, since we're 2 players, we're going to take these 2 markers and we're going to place them in the locations below, starting from the leftmost position. So 1 here and 1 here. And still pay attention that we have yet to discover this species because, as you can see over here, we still have a location that does not have a marker. But I have a feeling that the green player is going to do it quite soon. The turn of the orange player is finished and we're going to go back to the green player. The last action that we haven't seen in this game is going to be the analyze data action. So for 1 energy, if our top row is completely filled with data tokens, what we will be able to do, so let's pay this 1 energy, we'll be able to remove all the data that we have on our board, including even in the bottom row, it does not matter, in order to receive a blue marking life trace. So again, let's see how does it happen. We're going to remove all of these markers back to the main supply. And then we're going to take one of our markers and we'll be able to place it in a blue location. So what do you know? It's exactly the location that we have over here. It's going to give the green player 3 victory points. From 28, we're going to go up to 31, and also 1 publicity. And with that, we can actually turn this board and discover the new species of aliens that we have over here. In our case, it's called Centaurians. And again, we have a small setup. So this time, let's do it according to the rules. Hi, you guys. We're going to take all the cards that correspond to this species. We're going to deal cards according to the markers that we have over here of the players. So that means that green is going to receive again one of these cards. Then we're going to place the cards next to the board. We're going to open the first card face up. And then we have something with message milestones, which correspond to these tokens that are coming with this alien species, of course. When we're discovering this alien species, we need to count 15 points ahead of our current marker. So that means that for the green player, it's going to be 31 plus 15, 46. So let's take this token and place it on the 46. And for the orange player, it's 36. So we're going to put it on 51. And something is going to happen if we're going to reach there. Of course, each player to their token. Not sure again we're going to see it in this playthrough, but it is something worth paying attention to. Now we can see that the green player has really a lot of cards in their hands. They should do something before passing their turn. So with that, let's move back to the orange player. The next action of the orange player will be to play a card. So that is going to be this card right over here that is going to cost for them 3 credits. And as you already guessed it, that means that we're achieving over here another condition. Let's mark it with one of our markers and take for it, of course, 2 publicity. So now we have a 6. And now we can basically either rotate and take an orange technology or rotating and taking a pink technology. So let's start with rotating, right? We're going to rotate the orange disc. So that is the middle one. Let's move it. And what do you know? We have over here planet Earth in the same sector as the yellow anomaly that correspond, of course, to this alien species, but we have no markers that is on the alien board in the yellow position, so nothing is going to happen. Now for the orange player, they would like to research a pink technology that is going to help them with scanning. The orange player is going to take a technology that is going to help them a little bit more with scanning. So we're going to take this technology right over here. First of all, 2 victory points we can discard and add it to the orange player. So from 36 to 38. On top of that, the bonus that we can see behind is to receive 1 energy. And after that, we're going to take this token and we're going to place it in the right location on their player board. So this one corresponds to this location, and maybe we'll be able to see what does it do a little bit later. Now you guys, before I'm continuing, something super important that of course I forgot, I apologize for that, but that actually is something that we need to do a long time ago, and that is to resolve this milestone. Now basically every time that a player is going to pass one of these threshold with the golden milestone, they're going to take one of their markers and they will be able to place it on one of these tiles that correspond actually to scoring at the end of the game. Each one of these tiles has actually 2 sides, so randomly of course it's going to be different in every game that you're going to play, but each one has a condition that they will be able to score according to their location on that board. So just for the fun of it, it doesn't really matter. I think it was actually the green player that passed that threshold first. So let's say that they're going to place it here, and then it was the orange player, so let's place it here. I hope I'm not mistaken, but in any case, you understand the message. Next time a player is going to pass the 50 points threshold, they're going to do the same thing. So I apologize for that. Finishing with the orange player, moving back to the green player, they would like to play this card right over here that is going to cost for them 3 credits. And for that, they're going to receive, first of all, 1 energy. Let's place it over here. On top of that, they're going to rotate the solar system. So now we're going to rotate the blue disc just like this. And after that, we'll be able to research a blue technology. So this card we can simply discard. And for the blue technology, maybe they will take a little bit more stuff that will help them with the publicity, and also it's going to give them a 5 victory points. So let's take this technology right over here. So together, of course, 3 and 2, that's 5 victory points. From 31, they're going to go to 36. And after that, we're going to flip this tile and we're going to place it somewhere over here on our board. So let's place it in the first location. After that, they will not like to take any free actions, so we're moving back to the orange player. The next action that the orange player would like to do is to actually play this card right over here that is going to cost them 2 credits. And let's pay attention to what we have on this card because it's going to trigger something pretty interesting. So on this card, it basically says that we're going to scan twice in the same sector as Saturn. So when we're looking at the solar system, Saturn is situated right over here. So this is the sector that we're going to perform the signaling. Now this is the reason why we have the gray color, because obviously from time to time it's going to change. Let's see how we're going to resolve it. First of all, they're going to take one of their markers and they're going to place it actually in the last location that they're having. So let's place it over here. And as you can see, we don't have here any more space, but still we always have to place a marker when we're scanning. You cannot simply decide not to place your token. It's still going to help you to win a sector, which we're going to see really in a second. But again, you cannot decide not to do it. So this data token we can place in our pool. And now we're going to take another marker and we're going to place it in the overflow kind of space that we have over here. Now we basically completed a sector. So we need to see who is going to win this sector, and it's going to trigger some nice things. First of all, each player that contributed to completing this sector is going to receive 1 publicity. So 1 for orange, 1 for green. Then the player that has the majority of markers in that sector is going to take one of their markers and they're going to place it in this location that is going to gain for them one of these pink marking life trace. So immediately let's take an orange marker and now we can place it basically on one of the alien boards. Now every time we're going to see one of these symbols, it basically means that we're going to take 1 card from the alien species, and in general the cards that we can find with the aliens are stronger than the cards that we can find with the main deck. And on top of that, of course, we're going to have some victory points. So I think that the orange player would like to place their marker over here, take 4 victory points, so from 38 they're going to go to 42. And on top of that, they're going to take a card. They don't like the card that they're seeing over here, so they're going to take a card from the alien deck. After we have seen who won the sector, we're going to determine who is in the second place. What a surprise! This is a 2-player playthrough, so the green player is going to come into second place, and that means that when we are resetting the sector, that means that we're going to remove basically all the markers of the different players. And we're going to place here, just in a few more moments, some data tokens. The player that was second to the winner of that sector is going to place one of their markers already in that sector. So now what is left to do is to take some data tokens and completing everything that we have with the space. In our case, it's 4 more data tokens, and the other markers we can just bring back to the players. And now we can, of course, continue and scan this sector and again gain more data and again win that sector. But pay attention that the next player that is going to win simply going to place their marker next to the marker that finished this sector in the last time, and that will gain for them 3 victory points. Now this card that the orange player just played, we're still going to keep next to us because we still have here a mission that says that when we're going to have an orbit or a lander at Saturn, including its moons, we're going to receive 4 victory points. With that, we have finished with the orange player and we're going to move on to the green player. And with that, you guys, I think that I'm going to stop the playthrough over here because I feel that really we have seen First of all of the actions, we've discovered both of the alien species, so I think that you understood how the game works, or hopefully at least. We've seen all the different free actions that we can take in this game. Of course, there are maybe two things that I haven't talked about, and that is that as a free action, you can always take down 3 publicities in order to take a card either from the row or from the deck. And the other free action that you can do is to exchange resources, and for every 2 resources of the same type, you can take 1 other resources. Resources being, of course, credits, energy, or cards either from the row or from the deck. So thank you very much guys for watching, I truly appreciate it. If you learned something new or saw something that you like, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, commenting on it. Those are absolutely free things that you can do that are helping me a lot. Take care, and I'll see you next time.